Welcome again. This is MJB. I'm going to discuss what we call historic built environments. When we talk about historic built environments, they are categorized into various uh, categories. We have those that we call monuments, we have those that we call cultural centers, we have those that we call museums. So all these built environments are so crucial in the history of Eastern Africa because we're going to look at specifically those in Eastern Africa countries. To begin with, I'll first of all start by mentioning some of these historic built environments and the countries where they are found within Eastern Africa. So, first of all, when we look at the first one, that is Kigali Genocide Memorial. Kigali Genocide Memorial, we have to understand that it is a historic built environment, but it is categorized as a museum. And this museum is found in Rwanda. So, this Kigali Genocide, it's a place for remembrance and learning which is dedicated to the victims of the genocide against the Tutsi. It is in Rwanda, as we have just stated, that the remains of over 250,000 people who died are interred in that particular museum. That it contains the remains of over 250,000 bodies of people who were killed during the Kigali genocide, that is in 1994. So it is so crucial that it is a commemoration that the Rwandan people commemorate those people that were killed in 1994 during the Rwandan uh, uh, genocide. So, on the other hand, we also have another category of historic built environment, and this is Fort Jesus. And Fort Jesus is a museum which is found in Kenya. When we look at Fort Jesus, we ought also to understand that it was built by the Portuguese in the year between 1593 to the year 1596. It was put up by the Portuguese. And the main reason as to why it was built, it is because it was one of the most outstanding and well preserved examples of the 16th century or 16th Portuguese military fortification and landmark in the history of this type of construction. So, mainly, it was constructed to secure the safety of the Portuguese living on the East African coast of Africa. So, that was the main purpose as to why the Fort Jesus was built. It was built to act as a security or to secure the Portuguese that were in the Eastern Africa coast uh, by that time. And we remember we should also take note of the years when it was built, that is 1596, 1593 to 1596. Within that particular period, it was set up and it was built. Namugongo Shrine is another historic built environment which is categorized as a historical building. When we look at Namugongo building or Namugongo Shrine, it is a building in Uganda. It is built in Uganda. This Namugongo commemorates the martyrs. There were those martyrs. The Ugandan martyrs were a group of young Christians and Muslims that were killed between 1885 to 1887 because they chose to defend their faith. So these particular Muslims and young Christian brothers were killed when they defended their faith in those years that we are told about, that is 1885 to 1887. So this Namugongo shrine is normally meant to commemorate those martyrs that we have mentioned, their killings as well as how their bodies were burned to ashes. So the men were executed under the orders of the Kabaka Mwanga. There was a leader who was called the Kabaka Mwanga of the Buganda Kingdom. This is the leader who was in charge during the killings of these particular martyrs. So their bodies were dried up into ashes in a continuous way because as they were burnt down and failed to turn into ashes, they continued burning those bodies until they ensured that they turned to ashes. So those bodies of the martyrs are commemorated in Namugongo Shrine in Uganda. As we go by, we also have to note that we have what we call John Garang Mausoleum. John Garang Mausoleum is a cultural center found in South Sudan. Why is it there? Why was it set up? John Garang Mausoleum, it harbors what we call the grave of John Garang, D. Mabior. He is the late leader of the Sudan People Liberation Movement. Sudan's People Liberation Movement. It was John Garang who was in charge of that particular party in Sudan. So his body is preserved, is remembered and commemorated in that particular mausoleum. So another historic built environment that we have to understand is what we call Independence Monument. Independence Monument is found in two countries that have this particular building. That is, we have one in Burundi and there's another one in Uganda. So this one of Burundi, the Independence Monument in Burundi, it was built in 1958 to commemorate the country's independence from France. That is in 1953. That is when this particular country we call Burundi received independence or gained its independence. So it also acts as a memorial to Cambodia's war dead. So in 1958, this particular independence monument was erected in Burundi to commemorate what we have said, the independence that the country acquired from France in 1953. It is in 1953 that the country, Burundi, acquired independence. Another one in Uganda, we also have Independence Monument in Uganda, and it is a concrete sculpture located in the center of Kampala. That is Kampala City, in the King George V. Jubilee Gardens at Nile Avenue. So it symbolizes Uganda's independence also from British colonialism on 9th October 1962. So Uganda also acquired its independence in 1962 from the British colonialism. That is from Britain. And then the Independence Monument was built to commemorate that independence. We also have another historic built environment, and this particular built environment is the People's Palace. The People's Palace is a museum in Djibouti. It's a museum that is found in Djibouti. Why was this one built? People's Palace. Why was it built? We also need to understand why it was set up in Djibouti. The People's Palace is a symbol of struggle for freedom in Djibouti. It is a patriotic monument which seems to pay tribute to one of the most important national symbols of the nation, that is Djibouti. So it is called People's Palace. So we also have to look at another one. We have Ascari Monument, just as the word states, Ascari Monument. It's a monument found in Tanzania. Mainly, it was built to, that is in 1920, to acknowledge the role of African soldiers, the Ascari, in the First World War. It is built in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. So that is why it is given the name Ascari. And Ascari is a Kiswahili word which refers to the police or soldiers. So the African soldiers who participated in the World War, that is in the First World War, are remembered and commemorated through this Ascari monument in Tanzania, Dar es Salaam. As we go by, we also need to understand that we have another monument which is called Victory Monument. Victory Monument is found in Ethiopia. It's a monument, as it is stated, and it's found in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. That is Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. And mainly, this Victory Monument was called Miyaziza 27 Square. That is another name that it was given in Ethiopia. That is Miyaziza 27 Square. It symbolizes the triumphant entry of Emperor Haile Selassie. That is Haile Selassie I and Ethiopian patriots to Addis Ababa by May 5th, 1941. So another built environment that we have to talk about, we have what we call Bomas of Kenya. Bomas of Kenya is found in Kenya, and it is a cultural built environment. It's a cultural center. It is referred to as a cultural center found in Kenya. So what is it all about? This particular cultural center, it is found in Nairobi, and it is mainly set up to act as a cultural center which normally educates about the culture of various communities in Kenya. We have another one that we call Hyrax Museum, also found in Kenya. It's also called a museum. I can also talk about another one that we call the Roman Kiosk. Roman Kiosk is found in Sudan. It is functioned as a station shrine for a visiting deity who watched the emergency of the temple's resident deity from his or her sanctuary. It is a small sanctuary built within a big sanctuary, and it is in Sudan. Mainly, it commemorates the functions of a deity or the visiting deity. It's a shrine mainly meant for prayers, and it's a church also. It's a church. So it is found in south, not south, but in Sudan. Thank you so much for your time. God bless you. Thank you so much.